Every good tavern needs a place to order a drink, so today, I'm building a bar. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Black Magic Craft. Today I am going to continue on my tavern set. This set is something that I'm building to give away to one of my Patreon supporters, and it's going to include the tables I built last episode, a bar that I'm building today, and some bookcases that I'm going to build next episode. If you want to find out how you can win that, you got to head over to my Patreon page and support the channel there. Building a little styrofoam bar is not the most complicated or exciting of projects. However, I made this project more fun and challenging to myself by setting the guideline that it needed to be modular and configurable in different sizes and layouts, and I'm pretty happy with the results. Because this is a speed build and my time is limited, I'm going to build this using the tools at my disposal, like the Proxxon hot wire table. Of course, you don't actually need to use the same tools and material that I use in this build. If you don't have them at your disposal, just take the inspiration and build this with whatever you have. Dollar store foam core, if you have this available, is a great stand-in for the XPS foam, and it's really easy to work with just with an X-Acto or utility knife. Also, if you do have XPS foam but no hot wire table, you can absolutely pull off this build just with a sharp utility knife. So let's get to it. Let's build a damn bar because I need a drink. Even in a simple build like this, it's sometimes important to do some pre-planning and test pieces. With this build, it was really important to me that the set be modular and be able to be set up in a lot of different configurations and sizes. So I cut a few test pieces out of cardstock that I could play around with and figure out exactly what I wanted to build. In the end, I decided that 3 middle sections that were 2 inches long and 2 end sections that were 3 inches long and included a round corner would give me the most versatility. So once I knew what I wanted to build, I set out breaking down some material to give me all the pieces that I could use to assemble this bar. And it's important to notice here that I didn't fully measure and plan out thicknesses of materials. I just sort of eyeballed it and held the pieces together until they looked about the right size that I wanted. To make the round corner pieces, I used my shiftinglands.com circle cutting jig to cut a foam circle with a 1-inch radius. I then took that circle and cut it down to the same thickness as the other pieces that I had already made for the bar top. Once I had all my raw pieces pre-made, I set about cutting them up into individual pieces. I took the circles that I had made and cut them down into quarters to act as the round corners on the bar. And just using the grid on my cutting mat and an X-Acto knife, I cut all of the tabletop pieces to length, as well as all the bottom strips. This is a situation where I could have done this on the hot wire table and had it done really quickly and really uniformly, but I didn't need to, and I could do it just as effectively with a knife and a ruler. I did the wood grain on these the same way I did on the table build with a mechanical pencil. I really like the exaggerated wood grain on little pieces like this. It really from a distance reads like raw timber. One thing to keep in mind when you're doing this kind of wood grain is make sure that that grain carries around on all edges in a way that actually makes sense like wood grain. Once I had all the wood grain complete, I set about gluing all the pieces together, and I did this using Eileen's tacky glue. This stuff is essentially just a really thick PVA glue with less water in it, which means that it dries faster, but also because it's thicker, it actually holds the pieces together a bit better before they dry. And to apply this, I put on a pretty heavy coating just using an old paintbrush. The pieces only really needed to sit about 20 or 30 minutes before they were ready to really handle again. Now, one thing I'd like to highlight is a little mistake that came up during the assembly. Some of the bottom pieces ended up a little bit longer than the top pieces, and you know what? It's not really a big deal. I just cut them off flush after and then redrew in the end wood grain. And every bit of terrain could use a cool little backstory detail, and I really like the idea of some brave adventurers sitting at this bar, running their blades across it as they shared stories. So I decided to carve in some little extra details onto the top, some gashes, and of course a little heart. And with the build complete, it was time to put on the Blackmagic Craft base coat, the Mod Podge and black paint combo that seals and hardens the foam. The paint job here is pretty simple and pretty much the same as the table build. Started with a medium brown that I mixed out of a espresso and a kind of golden brown. Followed that up with a dry brushing of just this golden brown color and topped it off with a light highlight dry brushing with a light tan. The final painting step was to apply the dark brown wash, and I had saved this exact same wash that I used on the table set so that I could carry it through to this project. Once the wash dried, I finished the whole thing off with a nice coat of Minwax fast drying polyurethane in a satin finish. This is how I complete all of my foam projects. It seals them in, it enhances the color, and it will make them last a lot longer. I'm really happy with the way this bar turned out. I like the idea that it can be configured in a bunch of different ways, and I really like the little extra backstory details carved into the surface. There you have it, guys, a very simple little project that you can bang out in a weekend. I would love to see your versions of this project. I would love it if you posted them on the Tabletop Crafters Guild on Facebook. If you're unfamiliar or not a member, it is by far the biggest community of tabletop crafters making stuff for role-playing games on Facebook. The link is in the description. Head on over, join. It's an awesome community. Post your versions of my builds there. I would love to see them. Also, speaking of Facebook, if you'd like to join the Blackmagic Craft Fellowship on Facebook, a great little tight community of fellow like-minded crafters building Blackmagic Craft projects, head on over to my Patreon page. There you can become a member of the Fellowship and support this channel and these videos because I need that support and I love it. And thank you to all my Patreon supporters. Of course, if you want to pick up any of the tools and supplies that I used in this build or other builds, head on over to blackmagiccraft.ca. There you can find my Amazon affiliate store where you can buy all of my favorite stuff and help out the channel in the process. Also a great place to do your holiday shopping and buy some cool stuff for friends and family. I hope that you found this video and this series useful and inspiring. If you did, hit that like button, drop me a comment below, and of course hit subscribe if you are not already a subscriber. Until next week, guys, cheers and happy crafting.